Hi, this is Kerry Feldman, the geezer, and I'm here to talk about not happy at work. Man, isn't it miserable? You go to work and you just don't like it. It could be that the way that the job is set up, it could be the people you work with, it could be the people you work for. It could be a lot of different things, and it makes you really just not happy. You wish you could quit, but you're sort of in this place where you've got the mortgage, you've got the kids going to school, whatever it is, you've got the car payments and other things. You really just have to continue with that job, and that's unfortunate. What I'd like you to do is to think about. I've got just in a couple of minutes here. I'm going to show you some things, some thoughts that I put together over the years that might help you to figure out where you want to go and how you want to get there. So just stick around, listen to this presentation, and maybe it'll help you. Thanks a lot. Geezer out. Hi, you've been looking for perhaps something to explain to you. How do you find something, a career that is satisfying or brings passion to your life? And then people talk about having a life passion. Well, I developed something I call the fire of a life calling. And what that is with a fire, and the reason I think this is really good, at least from my perspective, is that fire has three components, and a life calling has three components. The fire has three components. It has fuel and heat and air. Those three combine and they create a fire. And without any one of those, the fire goes out. So it is just like that with a life calling as well. So a life calling has three components. The first one is qualification, heat. You need to have skills. You need to be able to do something, and being able to do it well allows you to do that for your career, your life, whatever it is that you're doing. It's an extended period of time. You've got some skills you're using. Then there's compensation. In order to be able to do it, you have to be able to afford to do it. And for a long period of time, if it's a life calling, you need to be compensated for it. Now, we're going to talk about what happens if compensation is missing in just a little while. But those two components, you've got to be compensated for it, and you got to be compensated well enough to be able to support your lifestyle and qualified to be able to do the work. Now, that's the second component. But what really provides the motivation for a life calling, and it's not just simply something else. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the real motivation for life is to have air of gratification. It's why am I happy doing what I'm doing? It's an inspiration. It's the part that motivates you for what you're doing. So those three components, gratification, qualification, compensation, are all part of having a life calling. Now, so let's just talk about what happens if one of those is missing. So what happens if first of all, the fire goes out. If I just have compensation and qualification, I really have a job. I show up. I'm not glad to be there. I don't feel the value of what I'm doing. I'm just getting paid for what, and I might be paid very well. I might be compensated marvelously for the skill set that I have, but I just don't care if I'm there or not. I don't have a purpose for being there. I'm not inspired to be there. I'm just there. Now, what happens, and that's just a job, and a lot of people are in that position where they just have a job. They'd rather be doing something else. Maybe they have a desire to be an author or an entrepreneur or an artist or something else, but they're just in their job because that's what pays the bills, right? So let's go on and let's talk about now what happens. You have qualification and gratification. Well, that's the hobby, that's the art, that's the working with robotics on the side. That's the working with a charity group or volunteering in an environmental group or whatever. You're lit up to be doing something and you're qualified to be doing it, but you're not being paid to do it. So in terms of a life calling, it might be a real desire and it might give you great gratification, but unless you're compensated in some way for it, it's not part of that life calling. You might be compensated using other things. Maybe you've got a large savings account, or maybe somebody else is funding you somehow so you can be able to do these kinds of things, which is just basically a surrogate job. But compensation is part of that because you have to be able to pay the bills while you're doing whatever it is that lights you up and you're qualified to do. Now let's talk about the third piece. And this is if I'm compensated and gratified, but I'm not qualified. That's really a fantasy. That's like winning the lottery. That's like having your brother-in-law own the business and he just pays you for showing up, but you don't really do anything. Now, that might be a great outcome for you. I don't think it's going to be a fulfilling, but maybe it is. That's just my position. You got to have all three: qualification, gratification, and compensation to provide and to maintain a life calling. I was fortunate because I had that for a number of years. And then I retired now, and so I'm moving my life calling, which is about helping people to be successful. That's I set up my company in order to be able to help people to be successful. And so here it is. At this point, I'm now doing what I'm thinking of to help people is to help them save money and make money. And so I have started something. You can find out about that at smartgeezer.net, and that helps to people to find a way to make an income in order to support themselves in whatever way they like doing it. And I really enjoy doing that as well. So anyhow, check it out at smartgeezer.net, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks a lot. Geezer out.